I think what you're trying to ask is why am I so insistent upon giving out to them that blackness, that black power, that black pushing them to identify with black culture. I think that's what you're asking.
Hi, this is Riah.
Hey, this is Dynamiks.
And this is Angry Black People. Hi, everybody.
We're in our fourth episode, and yeah, we are people who are actually not angry. We're just taking the piss out of the terminology or the stereotype that all black people are angry. So yeah.
So how are you feeling this week?
Me, this week it's been like I've been feeling quite spiritual, to be honest, and I've been realizing that as a guy, it's okay to be emotional. However, I've realized that a lot of people try to control you by triggering your emotions. So I've been trying to find a happy medium between, expressing myself as a human being and being emotional, and also learning how to control my emotions so people don't actually just trigger you. So they don't just trigger your anger or your sadness.
So you're learning how to be a man.
I'm learning how to be an enlightened being because I don't think as men we have great control over our emotions.
But that's what you're supposed to. But you get a society that just gives you guys a blight every time you do something and tells you that you shouldn't have emotions. So they encourage no accountability and no emotion.
Yeah, that's the question for the week.
What?
Should guys, especially should guys have, should guys be as emotional as women?
Yeah, I think
as
should.
emotional as women. You
What do
really
you
want a
mean
guy
as
breaking down
emotional
and
as
crying over the simplest of things?
I think because the problem isn't the fact that we're emotional. The fact is how we express our emotions.
Okay,
So
I like that
there's
one.
nothing wrong with feeling the same emotions. It's just how we express it. For women, crying is we don't get as angry as you guys, so we don't act out. We don't be punching things and have that aggression. For us, tears most times is releasing anger, our pain, our sadness, whatever the case is. Most times when I cry because I can't hit you. I can't do all the violent things that
So
I'm
you
seeing
really
in my
are
mind.
angry, but you're so angry that you just cry instead.
Yeah, because we can't.
I think that's what babies do, though, as well.
Yeah.
Put that in there.
So babies and women are
So-
defenseless, huh?
Yeah, so they're just babies that, grew up.
If you're a
basically.
big dude and you've pissed me off, in my head, for common sense purposes, I know I can't literally hit you. So it's gonna piss me off and make me cry to know that I can't hit you. Or if I hit you, this is what's going to happen.
So then you cry and then make me, well, not me per se,
Yeah.
I'm just saying the person, because I don't ever offend you.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? But that person, yeah, they feel guilty.
No, it's not. The tears not for guilt. It's literally releasing that pent up frustration. It's kind of like there's like a little thing that goes off in your head, and it's it's like a pressure. And if you don't cry, it'll bug you to the point where you might end up murdering somebody. If a woman doesn't cry, the day you see a woman's angry and she doesn't cry, you should be worried. Because after I cry, I don't feel like stabbing you or hitting you over the head with a block or hitting you over the head with something heavy.
Okay, wow.
Because
See,
that's
clearly you have anger issues, and this leads into what can I say? It's been International Women's Week. Shout
What
out to
an
all the
awesome
women.
topic for you to put me in.
Shout out to the women holding it down and not stabbing or attacking any men.
Happy International Women's Week.
A lot of men do deserve stabbing
I'm kind of...
and hitting over the head for some of the atrocities that I've actually witnessed in documentaries this week, from female genitalia mutilation to pedophilia to selling out their children as child brides. And it's like, what's going on in the world? Like, I feel like we live in one world.
Yeah.
And the third world, they live on like some planet like that's desolate, like Mars or like Pluto or one of those planets, and like I don't know, I don't understand. It's crazy.
You think
the
about it
disparity
this way,
is
but
mad.
but then some people in the quote unquote third world look at our way of life and think to themselves, "What are you doing? You're crazy. You're cramped up in the city. You're doing all of this work to pay all of these bills. You can't enjoy nothing." Like there's some people in the third world who actually look content with their lives.
I appreciate.
But in the same way, there's a certain regression in that culture where, because of poverty and lack of resources and being moved from traditional lands and all sorts of other things, people move into the city looking for a better life and all of that type of stuff. Tourism in particular has a big deal to do with a lot of things. So the West coming into these places and showing people, because nobody would think of selling their 10-year-old daughter, yeah, if some Western tourists didn't come there and ask in the first place.
I am so sorry.
So
they
created the demand.
You can come and ask. You can beg. You can plead. You can give me $1 million. I will cradle my child, and we will both starve to death. And the Most High will have to take us into the other life if we get reincarnated as a flower or whatever you believe in that's going to happen when you die. Let that happen, because I am going to allow my daughter to leave my home, and I'm sleeping in a bed at night knowing that she's with some pedophile. Seriously, that is my reality now. And what am I doing? Carrying on as a musician. I'm making music. What I'm doing? Hanging out with my
I don't know how
my
these people
girlfriend, going to visit my mother-in-law, my family, going grocery shopping while my daughter is in the house of a pedophile. I'm carrying on with daily life.
I don't understand how they do it.
Your level of psychology, your psyche, mental state.
But
I don't know.
because women in the third world, in some cultures, they're not valuable at all. Like livestock, what more than women? Like. So in their heads, their daughters are not prized possessions. Instead, the daughters are literally just something to be traded for cattle or livestock or money or whatever the case is. Unfortunately, that is the case. Which is why we need something like International Women's Week to highlight all the positive things that women have done, but also to highlight the negative things that are still going on. A lot of the modern slavery that goes on in the world, human trafficking, all of that, most of it is of women. So
I think women should be celebrated all year round. The fact that
we should be.
I came from a woman, a very industrious, strong, maternal woman who taught me how to build go-karts, kites, like everything. Like she was a very beautiful tomboy, and she literally taught me how to be a completely self-sufficient man. And I shout out to her to this day, like I love her eternally. So it's like, for me, knowing that even Hitler, someone had to wipe Hitler's bomb. All of these US presidents that are bombing all of these countries, they have mothers, or they had mothers at a point in time.
Or nannies,
yeah. Or aunties and cousins who are around them. How are you around George Bush when he decided to invade Iraq, and you're just like, oh, honey, darling, yeah, it's all right, no worries. Because that means that you are, as a female, equally complicit. So women, I believe, can keep men in check because they have the power of the people.
Yes, but then the problem with women is, I think there's a maternal instinct there where you want to see where you see your child doing wrong. So mothers tend to have a very long rope for their sons in particular. The rope is very short for daughters, but mothers have a long rope for their sons. So your son could be a serial killer. Most times, most mothers would still embrace that child because they understand that it's still a child. For some reason, that maternal instinct doesn't go away. So I don't know, like, I don't know how, as a mother, you could embrace your child after knowing all of that, but it happens.
I agree with you. And on that topic, like, I just want to say, where is Trump's mom?
Where is Trump's mom? That is the question. As we move into fake news, let's ask this important question. Where is Trump's mom?
Yeah, where is him? Go get your son. Like, somebody go get
I
Yo,
think she's
so-
passed away though.
Well,
But
need to send
ladies, send an
an angel
angel, please.
to just talk some sense into Trump, because Trump is what is Trump distracting us from? That's what I would like to know.
Okay, so this weekend, what the fuck, America? Because yeah, that question is well deserved.
Can you say WTF because it's Women's Week? Just in case
Okay.
my mom is listening, please.
My apologies. WTF, America.
Yeah, I'll just send her this bit. From this point, I'll send it to her.
You know, when you're making things, you have to make sure your parents are proud of them. Hey, tough. Trump. Okay, so this week, yeah, I feel like everything that Donald Trump does now, looking at it, is an actual distraction. Like, I feel like...
I wonder who said that.
shut up. No, I mean, like, in terms of everything that he does that the news covers is a distraction,
Of
in my
course it is.
opinion. Because all of a sudden, people were investigating Jeff Sessions in Russia. And it turns out, like, the Trump cabinet has more connections to Russia than Russian airline flights. Like, literally, like, Jeff Sessions was speaking. The guy who had to recuse himself, Jeff Sessions had to recuse himself
that guy,
because he was
Flynn?
speaking to Michael Flynn had
Michael
to recuse
Flynn.
himself.
He got sacked,
His
actually.
Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, was speaking with the Russian ambassador as well.
But allegedly, the Democrats, they have loads of connections to Russia as well.
No, but the thing is that this was what was going on here was you're having conversations with these people, but then you're blatantly saying that that's not what you've done. You're distancing yourself away from them and saying that's not what you've done. Jeff Sessions went into Congress and brought it up when he wasn't even asked about it and said that he didn't speak to the Russian. So obviously you have been speaking to them. You're trying to cover up the fact that you haven't spoke to
I feel like there's something greater at stake, and it's like in their idiocy, yeah, in the stupidity that people are saying, oh, they're so stupid and everything like that. They're actually pretending to be so stupid because they're trying to really concoct a master plan. For example, like, what we're gonna do is that we've always distracted you about Russia, but we've always made Russia the boogeyman. So what we're actually gonna do now is make someone else the boogeyman, but have them being the boogeyman for colluding with Russia. So it's like still Russia is still Russia is still actually the enemy, just the enemy in just a different way, a different form, and a different fashion. So like they really don't have anything else to talk about but Russia. But what are they doing? What are they doing behind the scenes? And that's what we need to get at. What are they actually distracting us
Well,
from?
before we actually get to that, his most recent allegation, and this is something, this is something that I find very weird. If any other president was in power, and we had even 2 of the scandals that we've had recently, out of the 15, 16, 20 scandals that we've had since Donald Trump took the office of president, we would be in arms. Like, everybody would be like, oh my God, like, this man needs to go. Like, what's going on with the world? Blah, blah, blah. Like, no, the man has just accused President Obama of a federal crime. He's literally said that the man wiretapped him in Trump Towers. The president of the United States wiretapping a United States citizen on United States soil, asking for that. That was banned after the Watergate scandal.
Yeah, but they've been doing that for years anyways.
The government, the
Been doing it
NSA,
secretly
no, the
for
NSA
years
and them, but you can't go
anyways.
to a FOIA judge. Wait, you can't go to a FOIA judge and have that logged as an action committed by the government. And if you do that, you will be prosecuted.
But the fact is, they've still been handing them out, and we know that these things are still happening behind the scenes.
The point is that
like,
Donald Trump
never, no one's gonna ever tell me that this is Donald Trump is like 100% crazy. Like these things do happen. They are happening.
On that mark, you know where Donald Trump got that from? He was reading a news article on Breitbart. He was reading a news because the funniest thing is I like 100%. I'm not saying
that Obama did it. What I'm actually saying, it's not far-fetched. It's not impossible. So let's not just put it out there to pretend like, oh,
that's not what I'm trying to say.
Not saying that, but you saying that, they have to go to a FISA judge. The FISA judge is bullshit because the judges, we know that the judges, they work for the same people. They work for the bankers. They work for the interests of their donors at the same time. And we know that. The point being is that
everybody in the security community in America more than likely will have more access to being able to wiretap an individual than the actual president of the United States. Put it that way.
Yes, but if you're the president of the United States, you could easily get one of your lackeys who have access to it to get the information for you. It's not that difficult.
Okay.
Because I would say it again, follow the money.
Okay.
I'm not even saying per se, I'm saying follow the money.
Okay, follow the money. But what I'm trying to say is that in the office of the president of the United States, in your official capacity, you cannot in your official capacity, because that's what Donald Trump is. He's saying that the Obama administration, wiretapped him. Yeah?
We know
so
that
in
Donald Trump.
So in your official capacity, you can't do that. So all I'm saying is that Donald Trump was sitting on his toilet in the morning. He was reading this newspaper. He got upset. He needed to tweet something to distract people from the actual problems that his administration has.
Facing, yeah.
Therefore, he just sit there and decide to accuse the man of a federal crime.
Yeah, but the craziest thing is the reason why people are not even up in arms and why people are not uproar when you have something like the Patriot Act that exists, which they have actually suspended, the United States Constitution, because the Patriot Act allows them to go around it or behind it or upside it. They could go into your phones anytime they wish to. He doesn't even need to go to a FISA judge. He just needs to just walk down to the NSA or go to the CIA and get access to their information, because the NSA, matter of fact, the NSA has a building, a unit, a section of the NSA that actually records every single stream of data around the entire world.
Yeah, that's how they managed to know that they were talking to the ambassador. Everybody records calls. That's not the thing.
No, I did not say records calls. I says they record your emails, your calls, every piece of data
in every country in this world.
Exactly. So which means the whole world is wiretapped.
Yes.
So he just needs to get access to that. Okay. So Obama didn't even need to go to a FISA judge. He just needed to have access to that. Okay, and he could have saw what Donald Trump was actually doing.
Bear in mind, my point being is that Donald Trump came up with this as a distraction.
Yeah, it was a distraction.
Not actual point. It is a distraction, and it distracting you from the points where his government is repealing all the environmental protection agency regulations. So they're trying to
let's say why. Why do they want to repeal the regulations for the EPA?
But I'm trying to say what regulations.
Go ahead.
So they're trying to repeal a lot of the regulations that surround manufacturing, coal, water clarity, water toxicity, like water protection, basically.
Okay, so clean water. So places like Flint can no longer fight, because once they repeal that act, then
the laws that allow people to even find out about Flint are being repealed. So it's not even a matter of the protections are being repealed as well, but even the laws that require you to report this and that everything they're being repealed. So they're trying to scale back the department by apparent 97%. Like, I don't know how do you even do that? Like, this is as human beings, from the dawn of time, we have always known that water is our friend. Wherever water is where we should be, because that's our life source.
Yeah, we're made up of 70%.
We're made up of water. So how do you in any kind of... I don't care if you want to deny climate change. I don't care if you want to deny the existence of God, you believe in evolution, whatever in God's world you want to do. But how can you support anything that will dirty the water, that will pollute the water for everybody in a area, everybody in America, basically? Like, how? What are you gonna do?
These idiots, right, are looking at China and looking at the regulatory freedom that China has to fuck up the environment. Basically, And in their head, they say, okay, we're going to repeal all of these things, put the Keystone Pipeline through, put everything through. Look how China is like smog infested.
No, not only that, China.
And they want America to become smog infested because they want to have all the dirty industries back.
China has serious environmental problems. As a matter of fact, China is now scrabbling and scrimping to try to figure out how to continue to preserve their environment. Like people
they're trying to preserve now. After they've turned their family into preserve now. After they've turned their population into slave
because they've come to realize like they don't have a good quality of life. There's loads of health problems going on. There's loads of pollution going on. Entire communities are in uproar. Politicians having problems. There's poverty. There's a whole spectrum of things that come along with what they're asking for, and these are things that Americans already had to deal with pre that, and British people had to deal with already when you had no environment. Like Birmingham in particular, where we live, it was known for its manufacturing industry, and
the north.
London was one of the dirtiest places in the world. Like you couldn't breathe the air in London for a long time. Like the Thames is one of the most contaminated still places ever.
Can I be the devil's advocate then? Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, because they said most of the manufacturing jobs have gone to China, right? Mm-hmm. So now that England is clean and shiny, there's no manufacturing. America, all the manufacturing is going to China. Okay, so what is the real problem here then? Because if the China now is trying to clean up, where does manufacturing go? Or do they need a whole...
No, but what they're doing
they need to change the way
that they're manufacturing. That's the thing. These companies don't want to incur the cost.
Do they? They don't want
They don't want to incur... No, it's not even that. They don't want to incur the cost that it takes to be responsible and to have good corporate governance where manufacturing is regarded. Like there's a whole way for you to dispose of your waste, for you to ensure that you don't affect the local community. You need to engage with the community. You need to ensure that all your equipment is working. The checks need to be appropriate. Your employees need to be trained for dealing with the things that they're dealing with. Like there's a whole lot of things that need to be done. But in order to do that, it takes money. And they'd rather scrimp and save in every which way direction and have big profits.
I don't understand. Because what are you saving really if you're killing the population or you're killing the earth? Like everyone's gonna die. What are you saving? Because we know money's fake. First of all,
I don't understand.
And we just know that it's like manufacturing and banks and all of these companies, that are being irresponsible. They're just like cancers on the earth, because literally what it is, the earth is the number one manufacturer of everything, of life. Everything that you need already to survive is on the earth. You're just taking the earth resources and refining it. So water is free already.
Yep.
Food is free already.
Yep. Air should be free, but they pollute it so much that Chinese buying air now.
Okay. Air is free already. All these resources are free already. And to be honest, do you need a smaller phone? Do you need a phone with a more HD screen? Like, do your phone screen now needs to literally be 4K, that you need to be mining like rare earth minerals, trying to just refine everything?
That's not it though. The problem is, no, that's not even it. There's a way to be responsible with technology, because it doesn't have to mean that we don't have to grow with our technology. It doesn't have to mean that we don't have to grow with our technology and that technological advancement isn't needed. That's not what it is. There's a way for technology to grow in tandem with the environment, where we don't destroy as we go. There's a way for you to gather crops. There's a way for you to cut down trees and plant them back. There's a way for you to gather crops and make sure the soil isn't completely drained out. There's a way for you to do all of that.
I don't know, but that's not what I was trying to get at. Who was Freud's cousin?
What, Sigmund Freud?
Yes, or his nephew.
Henry Freud.
The one that created this whole marketing scam. That's what
Henry Freud.
This is what I'm talking about. So he created this whole marketing scandal where things were used to be lasting for a very long time. That's what I should have said. Mm-hmm. So now we're trying to get the latest this, and they own like your iPhone. You drop that, it's breaking. Your Samsung screen, you're dropping it, it's designed to be breaking. But they're saying that, guess what? This is Gorilla Glass 4. This glass is now tougher than the last glass.
It's a pyramid
scheme. It's
scheme.
easier to break. So I'm trying to say, it's like they are now creating trying to find more and more ways to manufacture goods faster and faster and faster, because the goods are breaking faster and faster and faster. So
But they're making them to break faster and faster
so they're
and faster.
depleting the resources because they're really trying to generate money quicker and quicker just to store it in houses, or just to have it digitally on a bank somewhere saying I have $100 billion, but you're not doing anything with the money, because you can't do anything with the money, because once you're rich, you already have everything.
Yeah, so like you get to a certain point where you have so much money, but you only really keeping that money for you to be able to have the respect that you come accustomed to at that point in time.
Yeah, to say I'm a billionaire or I'm a trillionaire.
Yeah, to say you're a billionaire. That's the only reason why you really keep. Because once you hit 500 million, once you have 500 million in solid assets generating interest and all of that stuff like that, you don't need any more money, because all your expenses that you could possibly have in this life would be covered by that. So the fact that you hit $1 billion with an extra 500 million, and then you go for another $1 billion, so you got 1.5 billion, and then adding 2 billion altogether.
Apple's GDP is higher than a lot of third world countries. That's Apple's GDP.
Not their gross domestic product, because they can't have a gross.
Well, to me, they're like a whole country
their
on
profit
its own.
on their balance sheet.
But their profit, fine.
On their balance
whatever.
sheet is higher than a lot of countries' gross domestic product.
I use GDP because I was trying to set it up, for the third world country thing, but you kind of messed up my setup. But it's all good, fam. No worries. What I was saying is that they're worth so much, and they pay the Foxconn employees so low, and the conditions are so poor that they had to put suicide nets around Foxconn. So you're going to work in a factory that has suicide nets that stop you from even taking your own life if you're fed up with your job.
And then you look at them financing the perpetual war going on in the Democratic Republic of Congo for coltan. All of these technology companies have vested interest in that. They don't want that to be resolved, because throughout all the wars, the wars between indigenous populations, the ethnic wars, the political turmoil, everything that goes on in these countries where these resources are mined, or whatever the case is, there's never a point in time where the production of that product stops. There's never a point in time where those places aren't protected. So you are telling me that you have a vested interest at times to destabilize a certain region so you can even get access to the resources in the first place. Then you spend your time and your money guarding your little plot from which way it come and go, and that's it. With mercenaries.
Let's just say that.
Who are very, very, very likely to not integrate anywhere near the local population and treat them, rape, women, murder, pillage, kill, whatever they want to do in the name of so-called protecting this property, which at most times is taken from people, and they feel like they have a certain right to it. So you end up with all kind of things with people trespassing when they actually just trying to get to where they had a plot of land where they had some stuff planted. You got it being built on people's migratory routes, being built on the water, near the waterways where people would go to get water, wash them clothes, or whatever the case is. Like, it's sad and unfortunate, because we perpetuate this, because in the end we all buy these products and we don't think about what went into getting them.
Exactly.
And it's kind of like you talk about crack. They've given us the biggest drugs. They've given us consumerism. Consumerism is a drug in itself. Like, you always have that need to consume, to get the bigger, the better, the best, the this, the that. They tell you need the biggest this, the best that to do your work. They tell you need the this and that to do the fastest.
Most intelligent.
Yeah.
I mean, like, one of the biggest scams was when they brought out all of these phones with these assistants. Like, Siri's an idiot. I don't use nothing. They put Siri in the Mac the other night. I turned it off because it was taking up resources. Like, why am I using Siri in the Mac for?
Turn it off on mine. Maybe that's what's wrong.
I happily turn Siri off. Maybe that's why. Yeah. Just constantly listening in the background, waiting for you to ask it about the weather to tell you a joke or something like that. Because you can't
actually do anything. Like, it's not actually useful. And I guess, well, actually, no, you know what? I feel like maybe if I had a different accent and Siri could actually understand me, I might find it useful, because my god sister, when I was in the States, because she has an American accent, she was using Siri while she was driving and stuff to like send text messages and all of that.
Yeah, for that kind of stuff. But they touted it as this uber intelligent.
Oh, that's not intelligent at all.
Virtual
Like, I still have to
assistant,
look at my
not.
screen. When you create a product where I can talk to it and it can respond to me without showing me a screen and asking me to select, when you create like an AI product that learns and all of that, then you can try to sell it to me and say this is what's up. But until then, don't do it.
I think Samsung is bringing out one called Bixby, but we'll see.
Oh, for fuck's sake. I'm so tired of these people, right?
Let's see
Okay.
how good is that one.
Anyways, moving on. He's also trying to Donald Trump. We're back to the man in orange, the man himself. Yeah. So we all know that
God.
like the financial industry. No, okay. Let me just explain this. Wall Street and Washington are one and the same. Yeah.
Revolving doors.
And so is big oil and big pharma and Washington. Like
And the food and drug industry.
And the food and drug industry. Like they're all one. So any big conglomerate that is a problem to you, any big industry that's a problem to people, a plague on society, best believe that the heads are in and out of Washington.
And the worst of all, the bankers also go to work for the regulatory boards.
Yeah, basically, so this draining of the swamp that Donald Trump proclaimed in this because he was like, oh, I'm draining the swamp, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, forget that, because whenever they say they're doing that, they're not doing that. So
He didn't even have the chain to pull that plug. He couldn't even yank the
I
chain.
think all he could say
seriously.
is that if you worked as a part of the administration, afterwards you can't go on to work as a lobbyist.
How can he drain the swamp when he's a swamp monster?
But
himself?
they all gonna just go back to work for the companies. They're not gonna bother to go and become lobbyists. They just go and work
I
for the
don't want to
companies again.
sideline the thing, but Donald Trump cabinet has the most billionaires in it ever. Steve Bannon is an ex Goldman Sachs vice president.
And if you don't know who Goldman
Vice
Sachs
president.
is, Goldman Sachs owns some of the Federal Reserve. They're one of the banks that's behind the Federal Reserve. So if you already have a bank on Wall Street that is partially part of the ownership of the Federal Reserve, who prints money with an interest rate attached for Americans, yeah. And you have these people going in and out of Wall Street. Obviously, they want more leeway to continue to desecrate the financial system as we know it and pitch the world into a perpetual recession, apparently. Because this is what I think they want to do. Because that's what it looks like. And now Donald Trump has decided that these industries need less regulation. They need more freedom.
Yeah, because Goldman Sachs, who bankrupt Greece.
Bankrupt,
they're bankrupt the entire country.
Almost bankrupt Ireland.
On purpose, by the way, so they could buy it back in a fire sale, which is a technique that they use all the time. Okay, and these are guys who, if they have $1, they can replicate that up to 300 times and loan that back to you. So that's just a small bit of the power that these guys actually possess as bankers.
Yeah, already under regulations. Like, this is the war in America has been between good presidents, people who actually stand for something, and bad ones. This is what it has been. It's been trying to get the American people out of the grasp of Wall Street. And right now, the Wall Street is winning, like absolutely winning. Like all the protections that were put in place after and by the way, it wasn't even that much. Like after Bill Clinton got rid of Glass-Steagall and all of that, like Obama tried to put certain things back in, but it still wasn't working.
And they were even phony at best, but at least it was a little bit of regulations. And these people are not even satisfied. They want more. No regulation. And this no one overseeing them.
And if you're wondering how far away this comes, this doesn't even go. This goes higher than even in America, because where this applies to now is that these people then meet and they meet at Basel and at the International Monetary Fund and at the World Bank. I'm talking about these.
No, they meet there. They meet
at Bilderberg, but I am talking about commissions that people will look to for financial regulatory body information, etc., etc. Mm-hmm. These are people who informing on world financial policy. So the World Bank, the IMF, the Basel Committee, which is under the IMF. I'm sorry, the World Bank. The basic community in particular controls banking worldwide. Their reports are used to implement policy all over the world.
Okay.
And the policy that they implement is usually based off of whatever's going on in terms of regulation in America, unfortunately, because the majority of the communities or the committees are made up with Western economists, etc., etc. And their suggestions, which are normally implemented, they are implemented in the UK through the EU through directives, and then they come down, the capital requirement directives, etc. This is at an international level. So when America lapses their regulations, the rest of the world is going to follow suit.
Gonna lapse their regulations.
And in case anybody doesn't know, the housing bubble, that popped. There's another one coming again. And on the side of that, there's a student debt bubble. The amount of student debt that has accumulated in the Western world, it's unprecedented.
Who owns this debt, though?
I don't even know, because in America and England there's two kind of different. There's the same system, but it's kind of different. Because in England it's the student loan company. I don't know who owns the student loan company. It's a private company, but they work in tandem with the government.
That is like a single mother who has 5 kids and has been sleeping with the whole neighborhood. Like nobody
owns it.
Knows who owns the children, because America owes Britain, Britain owes America, America owes France, France owes Britain, America owes China, China owes America, and then America owes the banks, the bank owes America.
Like we don't
UK
know
own
who,
the banks, the bank owes the UK money.
Like the
what?
Bank of England, like the UK owe the Bank of England money, but the Bank of England owned by the UK, but the Bank of England has a limited company subsidiary that ain't owned by nobody.
And only has two pounds.
2 pounds of shares
of assets.
Yeah.
On their books, but no one can ever check their books.
Yeah, like the type of shady shit that we really got going on in this world.
And the Queen uses them to buy shares secretly. In what? What is the Queen still trying to purchase? Has she owned everything and everybody?
I don't know. How rich is the Queen? Because I mean, if you was living a life completely subsidized by the taxpayers and like them not pay, what am I pay for?
She has a secret company that I think she's one of the largest, other than the Catholic Church. She's one of the largest landholders in the world. So if you are owning the land that banks are on, like, come on, like, what are you still trying to buy? And then they just doubled their benefits. They recently, and I think it took about not even 15 minutes for Parliament to agree to double the royal family's benefits. You just doubled while you're cutting.
No, because the royal family's benefits has to rise in tandem with inflation, because God forbid they actually feel the squeeze. So no.
What squeeze can you feel when you own everything and you're still on benefits? Like, wow. Like, can I own everything and be on benefits?
What the hell? You can't even have a almost okay job and be on benefits. So
no, because it's such a strain on the economy.
Yeah.
But you could own everything, including Parliament, including possibly still America, because I'm not too sure if they actually truly ever let that go. But
I don't. What are we doing in this world? Like, I understand we all have problems, but we have bigger problems. Like, these people are really like dildoing us up our butts. Like,
I think a dildo sounds like a pleasant experience. Right
okay.
Imagine a hedge trimmer.
yeah, just open and close,
A hedge trimmer that's being shoved.
Like, seriously, in an
orifice. I think that's what is happening right now.
And we are so distracted because every day there's something new popping up, to the point where people becoming numb to it. Like, people walking around anesthetized to the fact that the world is, like, a year ago, 2 years ago, what's going on now would be unfathomable. But no, people just, it's like normal. You just going, what fraud happened today? Like this, like
people don't know what happened. They just scroll along Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everything, and that's their news. And to lead to that is how they've allowed someone like Steve Bannon to be elected.
Yes. Well, he wasn't elected.
Well, not elected, chosen by Trump. Because but he wasn't elected, but they had to decide on whether he could go through or not. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, Trump appointed him.
Yes,
he's
but
the president.
Every appointee had to be checked by a panel.
Oh, really?
Yes. So they were actually the
And who was on
Republicans
this
and the
panel?
Democrats. The Republicans and the Democrats. They had to fight to say yes or no.
Listen.
That's why they had a committee checking through and to see if these guys were actually allowed or
This
eligible
two-parter
to be a
system
part of
that
it.
we got going on here all over the world is bullshit.
Yeah, so the
All it
Democrats
does is-
okayed Steve Bannon, a racist.
Okay, well, anyways, this is what I really want people to pay attention to, particularly black people, because this is news for black people in actuality. Steve Bannon, Donald Trump's chief
Strategist?
strategist on his
Strategist.
campaign. No, he's his
Number one advisor.
number one advisor, chief
the
advisor,
babysitter,
babysitter in chief, President Steve Bannon.
the real president.
according to SNL and what's his name with the glasses? Colbert.
Yeah,
Colbert.
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 Yeah.
Whatever. He has a little desk next to the actual desk, the White House desk, and that's where Donald Trump sits.
Yeah.
So, and maybe if you do a good job, like last week when he gave that great speech, you know, did you see Paul Ryan and
And the vice president,
yeah,
Mike Pence.
Mike Pence.
Yeah.
Did you see their faces? They were like proud kids. They were like, look at him reciting the speech we wrote.
Oh,
you could see
little
Paul Ryan.
Donald.
You could see Paul Ryan and anticipate when Donald Trump would say something so he could stand up and give the cue to the rest of
Yes,
the
and his
crowd
little
to clap.
commas. And he dotted all his I's and all of his T's. And he was powerful.
It wouldn't surprise me if Donald Trump paid half of Congress to sit there and clap every
While
time.
that poor
Poor
woman
woman.
was streaming tears like
Down
a
her
Facebook live feed. She was literally just like, oh my God.
Tears.
She
That was
man.
real pain, and Donald Trump chose to exploit that moment to rile up these people because that was the problem with that is that it was as a result of his own ignorance as president, and as a result of him not doing his job adequately. Why the man died in the first place? But anyways,
Yeah.
on to Mr. Steve Bannon. Yeah, okay. I know you've heard us speaking about him before, but I don't know if everybody actually knows who or what Steve Bannon is. I will say what. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to say what.
What? Okay. So Steve Bannon is an alien. He came from planet 21509 in the year 1856. He looks like that.
And so an alien came to Earth and decided to invade one of the ugliest bodies he could find.
No, that is what he looks like after traveling. All that intergalactic travel.
Oh, so all the asteroids hitting him in his face.
All them
Yeah.
dents and shit. That's what that is. That was the original. He was like the original Vegeta. Just space travel.
Oh my
A
God.
couple bumps and bruises
So
here and there.
Steve Bannon, yeah? This
Yes.
is a guy who was... what can we say about Steve Bannon?
Steve Bannon was a banker. First of all. Yeah, he used to work for Goldman Sachs. At some point in time, he fancied himself to be a biologist.
Yes. Just so he could say that
White people are superior to black people. Surprise!
that was one of his main works on genetics. That's what
Yeah.
he says. His children are fine. I don't need to send them anywhere because they have great genetics.
Yes, that is it. So he decided. So I guess as a biologist, he did walks with genetics apparently, and all of this was genetics to prove that white people are superior in some way to
Then
black
he went
people.
into media
Yeah.
and he apparently wrote this piece on the great Satan.
Oh, the Great Satan. And
Yes.
What's the Great Satan?
Well, apparently that, Muslims are going to take over America. They call the rise of the Great Satan. They're going to take over America, and apparently the FBI, CIA, and are behind it. So that's why they're actually at war with the intelligence agencies right now.
Oh, so
Because-
they feel like the intelligence agencies are helping to fuel the Great Satan.
And they're colluding with the left because they want Islamists to take over the country.
To take over America.
Just because people are actually, and I can't even call the left nice because they're equally as evil, but they're actually allowing you to come here and have a visa and work as an indentured servant. These guys are saying, no, we don't even want the indentured servant. But what happens? Okay, let's imagine, for example, They kick out all the immigrants. And now white people have to now actually do menial jobs again. They're gonna hang them.
White people are not
They will
gonna
hang
do
them.
the work. No, but white people don't wanna do that.
That's why they
type
got
of work.
slaves in the first place.
Exactly. They didn't want to do no work. That's why they get slaves in the first. They could have picked them on cotton. They could have picked them on cotton. I lie.
They could have.
They could have picked them on cotton, but they didn't want to do the work. So they bring. Imagine for somehow, some way, once you're a brown black person, as far as I'm concerned, once you're a black person, yeah, somehow white people look at you and figure that you're lazy. How? Sway, y'all went and get a whole continent of people and try to bring them to work for you for free. And you calling us lazy.
And now because you want to chill out, eat chicken,
We deserve
and have barbecues,
we deserve our barbecues and our cookouts.
sing on Sunday, you guys. Man.
And guess what? We still happier than you. So imagine that. After all of that, we still happier. No, ain't that some shit?
Yeah, and you know what the worst part is? He's Irish. So I thought the Irish and the blacks are supposed to get along now. Well, we used to. So no, he's actually Irish. MBA from Harvard. Apparently he served in the army. Blah blah blah. But guess what? He's a Goldman and Sachs vice president. So there you go, Goldman and Sachs again.
Vice president of mergers and acquisitions, by the way.
Thank you.
Like when people pretend like repulsive people like Steve Bannon aren't accepted into mainstream society, that's a lie. These men meet in these rooms and have these conversations, and best believe that the people who are surrounded by him, the people who worked under him, whether they despise his beliefs and his policies or not, I don't know. But I know he did not turn into a right-wing white supremacist overnight. That has had to have been his personality for a long time. So that means that the people that walked with him, people who walked under him, people that walked around him, people that accepted him into their houses, including Donald Trump, that means that they have to have something in common with this vile human being.
Well, obviously Donald Trump's father and mother was part of the Ku Klux Klan. Like, it's not...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait. So hold on, stop, pause, hold on, suave the mental, wait a minute, yeah? So this orange man, yeah, his mother and father were a part of the Ku Klux Klan.
Yep.
And are you trying to tell me that, no, President Trump isn't gonna bother black people? There ain't nothing he could do to us that ain't been done before. Let me tell you something. Half of the black people that exist nowadays cannot even remember a point in time where there was actual, like, full-blown racism. Like, there's a subtle racism, there's a systemic racism, there's an institutional racism, no. But they cannot remember a point in time where there is the overt racism, like point blank, you can't come here, you can't do this, you regulated into concentration camp, you this, you that. They can't remember a time, including myself. I can't remember that time. Well, obviously I wasn't even around in that time. We're very comfortable compared to what previous generations have been through. So if anybody's planning on reviving that type of lifestyle for us, let me just make people very aware. It's gonna be very, very, very uncomfortable.
Yes, apparently, Donald Trump's father, Fred Trump, was arrested at a Klan rally. You know.
Oh, for real.
Mm-hmm. The Klansman
okay,
in Queens.
So anybody that out there and still questioning whether Donald Trump is racist or not, therein answer your question. He has to be racist. I don't care. Like, there's so much evidence surrounding him that he's racist. Because look at Steve Bannon, for example. Mr. Steve Bannon, recently, like as recent as about 2015 going upwards, he's been quoted, and Huffington Post put together a piece on this recently. He's been quoted referring to his quote-unquote favorite book. And this is a book called... Ironically called Camp of Saints. And this is supposed to be a reference from the Bible. Apparently somewhere in the Bible there's a scripture that mentions a horde of somebody coming in and surrounding the Camp of Saints. So in this book, it was a book written in 1973 in French, and then it was translated to English later on. The idea behind the book is there's it starts with somebody on the southern peninsula of France, obviously overlooking the Mediterranean, and wondering what would happen if they were ever to come, according the day being, I guess, black and brown people.
There were apparently 800,000.
800,000
immigrants.
So the idea behind the book is that Belgium, for some reason, people in Belgium started adopting loads of East Indian children, and then all of a sudden, before France knew it, there was a population of 5,000 East Indian children in 5 years or some shit like that. And then they went on to the East Indians apparently went on to revolt and hopped on boats, like old colonial boats, and sailed.
This guy's got a really great imagination.
Hold on. What they did was they sailed around. So when they got to like the Cape of South Africa, apparently South Africa sent out a barge of goods, and apparently they thought that in defiance of the apartheid regime in South Africa, they denied the goods. But then all the other countries along the way tried to send no goods as well, and they denied them. And then they finally landed on French soil, and they overtook French soil, and there was like rivers of sperm and
yes, and basically making it
inflamed the tensions between the African people who are already living in France and the Arab people who are already living in France. If I explain that,
the book was making out like black people and minority and dark skinned people are overtly sexual and they can't control themselves. But at the same time, these are these people that support websites like Ashley Madison. I'm just showing the counterbalance. So like they have this narrative.
But back then they didn't even have that. What I'm trying to say is that these are people who will go. These cultures are, as a matter of fact, these are people who criticize these cultures for being primitive because of their beliefs surrounding sexuality. Actually, if you think about it, because in particular the East Indian religions that they're talking about here, the Hinduism or whatever the case is, in Hinduism, sexuality isn't viewed in the same way it's viewed in the West. They're still very strict when it comes to sexuality of women, the chastity of women, the pureness of women. And all of these so-called primitive societies or whatever the case is, they put a certain value in chastity and purity on women and the sexual process. So the West is, and that's the reason why they have a problem with the West in the first place. So for this reverse psychology of white supremacists sexualizing darker people, I don't understand it, because innately these cultures are more reserved than yours.
Yeah, definitely. So like I said, it's just like they're just kind of putting it back on us. And Steve Bannon, his book, what is his favorite book talking about? It's talking about killing and murdering these immigrants, and he was saying if France don't kill all of these immigrants and murder these immigrants who are going to come there, not even to invade, they will just come in there because they needed help. They needed to be rescued. They were trying to find a better life. Okay, so don't even say like, oh, they went there and invaded them. No, they went there to try and get a better life. Yeah, and what happened? What did these guys do? Okay, kill them.
Well, the idea in the book is to kill. The idea in the book is to kill the people. It's not even to do what England and America and everybody else do, turn back the ship, turn back the plane, or whatever the case is. No, it wasn't that. It was actually to let these people land here, and then what we will do is kill them. So Steve Bannon and people like Steve Bannon have been going around for a very long time now, speaking on right-wing news stations or whatever the case is. And they've been mentioning this and saying, oh, it's a campus saint situation. And this is kind of like, white supremacists have their own language. I learned this on, like I was saying last week, on this documentary about white supremacy in Germany. It started with like the Turner Diaries, when they started releasing all of these stuff. The Turner Diaries is another book that white supremacists tend to refer
they love,
to.
Yeah? Their manuals. Okay.
Another one of their manuals, and it's another genocide situation again. And they have their own language and words that they use, symbols that they use to communicate with one another. So when they can casually sit down and say, oh, this is a campus situation or whatever the case is, like when they're talking amongst themselves, they absolutely know what that means. And when they project that out there, white supremacists that hear and that know what that means, because what you're projecting out there is these people are gonna come here and you need to react to this
So
in the
he's basically
same way.
was speaking so he's using the what's it actually the pulpit of the White House, to actually speak to all white supremacists around the world in code to say, hey, it's a composite situation that's happening with this immigration thing. So that's why even if you look at Theresa May, she's constantly now clamping down on immigration in the UK.
Yeah.
So they are now, as soon as the Brexit happens.
And for some reason, brown and black, particularly, I would even say black. I'll put the two of them together. Brown and black have become synonymous with Muslim, and then that has become synonymous with immigrant.
Yeah, so, and they're actually trying to call black people
in America immigrants.
That's why Ben Carson came out the other day and said what he said.
Ben Carson had the guts to stand up on the stage as a neurosurgeon, a black man who is sensible. So it's clear that he's reading a script that's been written for him.
Very intelligent guy.
He's a very intelligent man. So I find it to be, unless they have brain surgery by numbers now that I don't know about, and they was like doing the job by numbers that he looked like on the screen or some dumb shit like that. Like, he should be a very intelligent guy. So he should know that you don't call black people being brought to America immigration. That's not immigration. That is, and if you want to call it immigration,
so lightly, he literally said that, and I quote: "Black people came over not too long ago in the bottom of slave ships, and they landed into this country as immigrants, and they worked for less. Really, we built this country on our backs for nothing. Got burned, raped, starved, lynched, eaten by crocodiles." And he turned around and said, "We worked for less," as if like we were getting a £4.70 wage, while white people were getting a £6.40 wage. That's what he actually that's what he compared it to, and that is just crazy for him to even say that.
Okay, so like I said, this guy. He should have enough sense not to even... Because from the minute that you can put immigrants came here in a slave ship, it was like the slave ship was still a slave ship, but it wasn't using it for slaves. Like... They
renamed it, you know?
Yeah, it literally...
They repurposed it to now take immigrants from Africa over to the America, because obviously hearing that, because... In Africa, clearly the memo didn't go out that if you see white people, they're here to catch you. Clearly that now they're saying, no.
Everybody asked to come. Like, it was an immigration ship of slaves.
They're now handing out visas for you to come here and work on the cotton plantation.
Yeah, you know what that is? That's because you can't find anything to do with black people, because white people want to say, well, okay, America is ours, we founded it. I don't know how... Well, just forget that the Native Americans didn't exist for a minute. White people would want to say, America is ours, we founded it, etc., etc. Y'all are immigrants here, you're not citizens. That's the argument that white supremacists try to make, that black people are immigrants, because they don't know what category to put black people in. Because technically they should be a nation within that nation, because they didn't ask to come there. So they shouldn't even really be American citizens. They should be given their own autonomy, because there should be a nation within a nation.
To all white supremacists out there, here is the simplest solution possible. Just simply petition your leaders, and if you're a white supremacist who's a leader, it's very, very simple. Cancel the debts, pull your dummy politicians out of the countries. Guess what? Allow the third world to flourish even for a little bit, even if they made an extra trillion collectively. And you would see people happily leaving your country, like happily going back home and chilling on the beach, you know, with unpolluted waters.
If
you know
y'all want,
100%
if y'all want us out of your countries, literally just tell your government to stop fucking with our countries, and we will happily go home. But until then, I'll collect my reparations. Thank you.
So yeah, it's a simple solution. So all of this, we have to kill immigrants and all this nonsense. You guys are wasting time, man. Facts. So it's just like, for me, all of this rhetoric that they're here.
But wait, hold on. What gets even worse now is that this is just to show you how deep this white supremacist connection goes with Donald Trump in particular and Steve Bannon. Yeah, there's this book called Victoria, a novel of the fourth generation war. Yeah, and a guy called Thomas Hobbes, and that's his pseudonym. His actual name is William S. Lind. If you Google William S. Lind, if they haven't pulled the picture by now, Donald Trump is right there with this guy. And the book that this guy wrote, let me tell you, this Victoria, a novel of the Fourth Generation War. It's about a dystopian America after the Confederate has risen up and the Northern Alliance.
After the Confederate has overthrown the actual U.S. government because they're too soft on blacks and immigrants.
Yes.
So they overthrow them and now they're called the Northern
Alliance. Yeah.
Confederate. Yeah.
The Northern Confederate or Northern Alliance or whatever it was called. Anyways, point being is that it's about a race war. And these different white supremacist militia groups and just groups in general team up with black churches, and they round up black people. And the solution to the black community's problems is that they get together with the churches and they get these laws together where if a black person commits any crime, they're automatically hanged. If a black family wants to have a child and raise children, they need to move them out of the city and put them onto farms and have them raise their family on farms, and they will pay through that through sharecropping, which is basically slavery. So the idea here is to turn black people into sharecroppers if they want to have families. If you want to have a child. And if you want to have a child. And basically the idea is to rid cities of black people and banish them to rural communities where they will be sharecropping, aka slavery, to provide these cities where all the lovely white people will be living with food.
So did they actually, so hold on. Let me just be the devil's advocate again. So in America, they want to banish black people to farms. Yeah. But in South Africa, white people have taken over all the farms are actually profiting. So these idiots don't actually know. But
they don't want to banish them to farms. What they want is free labor.
Exactly. Yes. So they're going to still control the farms.
Sharecropping is slavery. Sharecropping is basically where the mass percentage of the crop and the money that made from the crop goes to the person who owns the land.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the slavery.
Okay, so it's slavery, basically. But in the book it actually has a say, black people may not be very rich, but they would have a rich quality of life.
Yeah, but it's very easy for us to have a rich quality of life. Just allow us to actually profit from the shit that we do. Like, we do a lot of things.
Can we have our things? I'm going to be singing that song. This is my song for 2017. Can we have our things?
One of the biggest coons on the planet, Michael Jordan. It took him years to reach $1 billion. Yeah? And this guy supposedly owns the biggest selling sneaker in the world, which are Jordans.
So and it took him Nike probably made $1 billion on Jordan shoes the second or third year that they released them. And it take Jordan but 20 years of Jordan's being up for him to make the $1 billion.
To hit $1 billion.
Okay, so understand how them royalties does work. These if you out here and the money that you're generating is through somebody else, I don't care who it is that you're looking up to. If somebody else is giving them that money and giving them an opportunity, guarantee you that person done been a billionaire twice over before that person become a billionaire.
Like Jay-Z's out there talking about he owned what basketball.
Oh, the Nets, the Brooklyn Nets.
Whatever he came out that he only owned 1%.
Yeah, but they only wanted him to do that so that they could have built a stadium in Brooklyn.
Know. But why are we out there touting, acting like we're doing things when we actually are still cooning? Just be honest. Just say you're a coon, man.
This is why. But this is the thing. This is the thing. People who have independent wealth, black people who have independent wealth, they just do. Like, black people who have independent wealth, they do. They're not afraid to speak.
Exactly.
They're not afraid to say that this is what the case is or whatever the case. But when you don't have independent wealth and you have to worry about fucking up your endorsements, fucking up your checks, fucking up wherever this money coming from, upsetting the man above, whatever the case is, when you have to worry about all of those things, you're not going to be focused on what's really important. And that's what we keep saying. We keep saying, oh, our people don't help us, or people don't this. It's not, it is that, but it's not that at the same time. It's them trying to keep the people above them happy. That's it. It can't be too many of you in the room.
100%. And there are actual black billionaires, but guess what? You don't hear about the black billionaires who are self-made. You don't hear about them.
The continent of Africa right now is also providing us with a growth of billionaires.
100%. The richest woman in Africa just overtook Oprah as the richest woman in the world.
Yeah, so there are black billionaires, don't get me wrong, who are independently wealthy, who are not answering to nobody, but they're not in America. That's for sure. Look at what they did to poor Bill Cosby. Well, let me not say poor Bill Cosby, because that's a thing of contention. But piece by piece, I've been following that news, and each case has been dropped. Piece by piece, each bit of this is being dropped. And the more... At first, I thought that the NBC... the whole conspiracy where him trying to get NBC was the reason why he did. But the more and more that I look at it, is the more and more I say, okay, because every time I will see like a subtle little news thing that will say, oh, Bill Cosby, this case dropped, or Bill Cosby not guilty.
Yeah.
And subtly, but when it came out, it was one big old thing.
Exactly, but now no one's talking about a lot of these cases getting dropped. So going back to this thing now, it's like literally that whole thing when Trump was speaking to that guy, and the guy was saying that, oh yeah, the gang leaders in Chicago,
The Chicago gang thugs.
they want to speak to Donald Trump. They believe in what
That's
he's
a lie.
doing, and etc. It was such bullshit, and it was actually literally almost a play-by-play from this book about the Northern Confederation, where the church leader was coming and said that, oh, we will be that
Bridge
go between
yeah.
you and these gangs who are destroying the community.
That's it's absolute BS. Anybody who knows who's working with these gangs, etc. The gang structure, the actual gang structure that existed for gangs in those areas in America, far gone by now. They've locked up everybody that was holding that structure in place. It literally is just a bunch of young children running around warring over postcodes and I don't know, reputation and pants sagging and colors
we need to
and whatever.
fix that. We as black people, we need to fix that problem. The government is not going to fix it. So those who are listening in America, you guys can start getting together, coming up with ideas, speaking to your leaders, speaking to your black leaders, speaking to the true church leaders.
They're doing that. America.
I'm not saying that they're not doing it. I'm just reinforcing the point of what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Because like this is not just a show just to talk about problems. Like we're all about the solutions there. Somebody actually said to me, like, you guys talk about a lot of solutions. And I was like, yeah, we do. We talk about a lot of solutions. Everybody just moans about the problems. Yo, we're here to highlight the issues, and we're here to actually move things forward.
Local government is your best chance at anything. Keep attention to who your mayor is, who's being elected police chief, who's being elected whatever little the elections coming up next. Just pay attention to who's being elected. Vote, participate. That's if that's what you feel to do. Keep writing your councillors, your governors, your state representatives, whatever the case is. Like, keep your voice active.
Talking about that, yeah, the election for mayor is actually coming up
Birmingham's mayor is actually yo, the dude from John Lewis, his marketing is hard. This guy's own magazine, and like own magazine that comes through your door with all his policy. Like, what does the mayor of a British town do though? Like, I'm so
well. I've met the Lord Mayor of Brum.
What do they do?
Well,
is it a ceremonial role?
He's very ceremonial, and he's there to just kind of think to push a lot of policies and things forward. It's more of a ceremonial role to me. That's how he explained it to me. You understand? But he grew up in Worcestershire. He said he's got a really good heart. He loves Birmingham. He wants to see it doing better. But he just goes to a lot of places, get drunk. You know what I mean? Shows his face. Yeah. He was tipsy when I was talking to him and stuff like that. But he seemed like a cool dude. This tall white guy seemed like a cool dude. But for me, I don't think like the position, I think, is more ceremonial. But you can't hold me accountable to that. But the fact that I've never heard about the mayor before, and I've heard about the MP more than the mayor, shows to me that it's a ceremonial role.
They have all these positions.
Lord this, MEP this, MP this, councillor this, blah blah blah. What? I don't want to get into Birmingham City Council. Like, I want to go straight from the topic because
they're doing. but I don't know what they're doing because they're not even sure about what they're doing. Because when you ask questions, it's like this department will deal with this, and then you speak to that department. No, not us, them, and then it's all in a fuzzle. I don't know.
So talking about we actually are living in England, so let's talk about England for a
because
second.
people might, it just may seem like we focus on America, but honestly it's only because America is way more entertaining than England at the moment.
Yeah, because over here in England they are distracted from something as well, because the news is so
dry
dead
like the Sahara Desert, dry, like
quiet,
like there's this echoing silence in England. I feel like behind the cars driving, behind the people walking on the road, behind everybody in the shop, it's like this deafening what? It's like an echo.
Things are, it's like when you watch the Wild West movies, and before the showdown, everyone is just so quiet.
Yeah.
They leave town. That's what's happening. There's a massive showdown. They leave town.
It's like a massive silence because the government is trying to push to you that everything's gonna be okay. Theresa May is announcing leaving the EU some point in time next week. People think it's gonna be next week, Tuesday, or whatever the case is. There's no plans in place. Nobody has like said, okay, this is what we're going to do. Like, here's a solid, this is what's happening. Like, nobody's came out and said that. There's no leadership in the opposition. Like, Labour is in a I don't even know.
Jeremy Corbyn is going around distracting people. We might as well get Bernie Sanders over here because they look similar to each other.
Like, there's a vacuum. There's a vacuum in the Labour Party. I'm afraid that that's gonna cause a rise in, because the Liberal Democrats are dead.
They kill themselves.
Suicide. Jumping in. It's like
jumping into bed.
Jump into
with
bed
your
with
bully,
Tories.
your rapist.
Yeah. No, that was doing a bad job for Women's Week.
What? Jumping in bed with your rapist?
Never mind.
That's what they did.
Okay, yeah, they did.
I'm just speaking
Okay,
facts.
yeah, okay. Yeah. They did jump in bed. Yeah, they did jump in bed by the rapist. Yeah, well, okay, whatever. Anyways, point blank. Anyways, what? Don't look at me
nothing.
like that.
Carry on. Nah, it's all for me personally. Is like right now, what they are doing though is that if you have an economy that is shrinking or you're worried about it, you start putting out programs, you start putting money and grants and everything like that into the economy for self-employed and entrepreneurs, because these are going to be coming with all the creative genius ideas. Apple started from an entrepreneur. Microsoft started from an entrepreneur. Ford started from an entrepreneur. Every single major company
starts with entrepreneurship. The businesses that bring in the money, the capital, everything, they start with entrepreneurship, which is why normally, and that's why, say in America, they give Silicon Valley so much leeway. In places like Germany, there's setups for the same thing. Like, everywhere is trying to get. India, there's places for tech startups. Like, everybody's trying to get ahead in this technology, in startups in general, supporting entrepreneurial ideas, etc. Like, a huge part of the UK.
And what GDP is Britain doing?
Killing us because well, the budget was announced recently. Let me just make a statement on this budget. That was the most mediocre attempt. Philip Hammond, I don't know who you are. I don't know where you come from. I don't know what you do. But that was the most mediocre attempt at appeasing. It's like you read every article that the Independent and the Guardian published for the past couple of months, and you decided to just act on whatever they said there, basically. Because it didn't make any sense to me. Part of it I did. I get the point, you're supporting childcare and trying to free up time for parents to pay for child minors and stuff like that. That's fine. That's all lovely. Free schools, funding. We do need that because apparently people who have children have hard times finding schools to put them in and all of that. Okay, that's fine. Your business rates, okay, so you set aside a relief fund for business rates. Something that might have made more sense was actually repealing those business rates, because the new business rates that they implement recently breaking the backs of entrepreneurs all over the UK. What would have made more sense than actually putting a fund in place to say help the most hard hit? That means that people have to go through more red tape. There's more bureaucracy. You're going to have to fund a whole department to apply the funds or whatever the case is. So you still end up doing that. And and it's not gonna really help anybody because we all know that funding money to disappear to God knows where.
We know that.
We know that for sure.
I'm still trying to find some.
The funding money goes to God knows where, but it definitely doesn't make it to the people who need it most times. Now, what you do, you increase business rates, you increase your council tax, and then you go ahead and you say, you know what, let me just slap the people who I said that we... When the Tory government had a manifesto, what they said in the manifesto was they were not going to raise any taxes, yeah? Mm-hmm. That's what they said. Here they come, raising the NI payments
for the self-employed.
For self-employed people from 9% to 10% and then by 11% by 2018, yeah?
Which is really a pointless tax, because if you can double, I say again, the benefits of the royal family, but then you're going to raise taxes on the self-employed, that's just...
So that's an extra
£240.
That's an extra £240 for the year added on, and then you can take that extra 1% and put it in again and you'll see.
Yeah, but they said, however, they're going to be putting $60 billion aside in their war chest. I think that's like their you know what you call your escape money. If everything goes to hell, Philip Hammond, Theresa May, and the rest of them are just going to disappear with the money. Yeah,
with that 60
billion.
With 60. So they said they're putting a war chest together for Brexit. A £60 billion war chest for Brexit. I don't know what that exactly is supposed to mean.
For the rich people.
Yeah, because are you reserving this money just in case the what? I don't know. I don't get it. But hey,
it's supposed to be if the country needs it for something. But the fact that all of their policies just look like they're gonna just push the country down the drain. So I guess it's if they need it when they push the countries down the drain, which they will. You know,
because homelessness is on the rise, child poverty is on the rise. Yep. You got more children being fed from food banks and charities than ever before in the UK. So child poverty is on the rise. Families can't afford housing. People can't afford housing in general now. Like the EU was... What happened with the EU is because it afforded a steady stream of immigration and you got a steady supply of people coming over here who could do that. Now, all you're going to have is foreign investors. The same people that you don't want, because you're going to just have the Chinese and Indian rich people coming here and buying up all of the houses and the flats and stuff and hiking the prices up anyway. So...
Well, that Chinese guy, was it Alibaba?
Jack Ma.
Jack Ma, owner of Alibaba.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's coming. He's already cussing the States. He's already letting them know that he is coming. He's getting ready to buy up some serious real estate and companies because he's got a lot of money. Treating people good, apparently.
Who, Jack Ma? From what I've seen, he's an actual decent guy. When I listen
he's
to
a decent billionaire.
He's a decent billionaire. Yeah,
as decent as billionaires can get.
But yeah, so that's what's been going on in the news recently, people.
So I was gonna say, talking about billionaires, let's go to rap's supposedly richest female rapper at the moment.
Richest? Who said that? I swear Queen Latifah richer than Nicki Minaj.
Is that why Queen Latifah is calling out?
I don't know if she... I don't know. We heard a song earlier with Queen Latifah rapping, but I don't even know if it's her or if it's somebody else. No, not if it's her or somebody else. If it's her now or if it's like her back in the day.
Are you saying that she's that old that she needs a ghost rapper?
No. No. I couldn't tell if it was an old song or if it was like a new song.
Okay.
But it sounded new to me, so look out. I think Queen Latifah say her name is actually Queen Latifah, so she's coming for this crown. So, yes. This week in People Business, I only really want to talk about one thing because these celebrities been real boring recently. Nicki Minaj and Rami Ma. No, we didn't touch on this last week at all. And I wasn't going to touch on it again because I figured that Nicki Minaj would not respond, but she did. So I just want to say.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Listen. First off, when I heard Sheetha, you can ask Dynamiks. I was sitting in here and there was people here and they were doing something that was very important. I stopped everybody in the room.
Screamed?
Screamed.
You know, I had to pause the recording.
I was shaking. And I was like, Remy Ma just ended Nicki Minaj, because that's how I felt. Like, it felt like that. When I heard she thought, I was like, snatch my wig, grab my breath.
Nas and Jay-Z, 50 Cent and Ja Rule.
That was that type of like, yeah. And then Nicki acted like such a little pissy bitch.
Yeah,
Like-
whiny ass pissy bitch. Yeah.
She did not act like a 34-year-old. I didn't even know she was 34.
I don't think how old are her body parts? Like 5? I think she's 5.
Okay, she's about 5 then.
Because her ass is about 5.
It's more than 5 though. She's been around since like 2010.
And she had it replaced, according to Meat Mill. Her ass dropped for 3 months, so.
Woo! Anyway, and Meek Mill did corroborate that statement. He did. He went on Snapchat or wherever, and he was live shaking his head to that. So I assumed that was his way of saying yes, this happened. Anyways, so yeah, Remy Ma completely bodied Nicki. We already know that. Yeah. Today, Nicki Minaj decided to respond to Remy Ma finally after about what? It's been 2 weeks now or about a week? 2 weeks.
In rap time, that's been like a year.
Yeah, it's been about a year in rap years, yeah? And
Yes.
Nicki finally decides. So now, if you're going to take a year in rap years, because she referred to herself in the song is called No Frauds. And not only did Nicki come to respond to Remy Ma late, so she comes to the party late. Nicki showed up like the true diva that she is.
2 side chicks.
With 2 sidekicks. AKA bodyguards, yeah? Showed up with 2 bodyguards.
2 big brothers.
Her big brothers. And she showed up with
Party Next Door as well.
No.
With the sweatshop and everything like that. No?
No.
Who did she show up with?
That's not what
Why are you
she
trying to
showed up-
add more people into Nicki's parade for? It's already bad that she brought Drake and Lil Wayne. Like, you're trying to say she brought somebody that's what, Safari? Seriously?
No, she
Who
didn't
did
even
she
show
bring
up
then?
with Safari.
Who did
There
she
was
bring?
something else that she showed up with. She showed up late. She showed up with demands. She showed up with people. Sorry, she showed up late. She showed up with demands. She showed up with people. Like, after she had a guts to post the song called No Frauds, apparently. It's called No Frauds. So you can go listen to it or whatever the case is. I haven't heard the full thing because apparently it's only on Tidal or only on Apple Music.
Looks like it's only on
or
Apple Music, so
only somewhere.
yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, backing up Remy's statement that she's definitely in a 360 deal, and she's 4 people gotta eat bread before she even gets to taste a cent. And we actually looked that up on his
I
facts.
looked it up. It's I don't know the details on Nicki Minaj's contract, but why I went and looked it up is because they said that Universal Music Group pulled Sheeta from the airways, because this is what's really going on here. So a couple of days ago, Sheeta just disappeared. It was on iTunes, it was on Spotify, it was everywhere, and it just disappeared. And apparently Universal Music Group lodged a complaint saying that she used the beat and Nas was their artist, therefore they own the beat, etc., through Def Jam, whatever the case is. Yeah, it's Def Jam that he was signing. It was Def Jam. He was signed with Def Jam, which I don't know.
I know Jay-Z then was on Def Jam. I don't know where Nas was
Not
signed.
Def Jam, whichever one. I don't know rap politics, but Nas was signed to Universal Music Group. They own
Yeah,
Ether.
because they own almost everybody that Sony and Warner doesn't own.
So therefore they owned Ether and whatever the case is. Yeah, so apparently Remy Ma didn't do her checks and balances and she didn't clear Universal before she decided to use the Sheeta beat. Yeah? No. If I see a song being number 2 on iTunes as a music company, yeah, and it's on a beat that was used in like 1990 something, Ether came out in like 1990.
Yeah, I would have been like, send that check.
I would have been
cut that
like,
check.
let me send over the papers and y'all can cut that check and we can just
100%.
collect our royalties as does for that type of thing, innit? No. That's not what happened though. Universal just pulled the whole thing.
Nicki's
so
head
I
game
feel
is
like,
strong.
yeah, because when I went and I looked it up now, Nicki is signed to Young Money. Young Money is signed to Cash Money. Cash Money is signed to Republic Records. Republic Records is a part of the Universal Music Group.
Which
Okay.
probably got some Goldman and Sachs and devil worshippers in the middle of it, just saying. But that
Pizza Gators and all
yes,
sorts.
all of them people. But carry on. As you say, I won't break it up.
But but yeah, so I feel like she probably bitched and complained, and make no mistake, Nicki Minaj's lack of response was not only on her. Nicki Minaj has a whole team around her every day working to shape and mold and perfect her image into what they're trying to sell, yeah? They're trying to sell Nicki as having a kid show. They're trying a show. She's supposed to be bringing out a show about her being a young kid. They're trying to sell Nicki as the Barbie. They still want little girls 10 years old and stuff to like Nicki. They're trying to sell
doll. Okay.
Yeah. No, they're trying to sell Nicki as they're trying to sell Nicki as a package, yeah? So Nicki getting down to street level and actually rapping and claiming rap queen and doing what she should be doing to claim rap queen. She can't do. Point blank. She can't do it. One, because she don't have the bars, and two, because the team will never let her do it. So instead, she had to take her ass to walk over in Paris at Fashion Week or wherever it was that she was. Mm-hmm. And she said she went over there to do work or whatever. So she meet Drake and Lil Wayne over there. And nobody can tell me that Drake didn't write No Fraud, because her flow on there song just like his on Back to Back.
Okay.
So nobody can tell me that Drake didn't write No Fraud. Kudos to Drake for writing No Fraud, yeah? Writing his verses and Nicki. You know what? No, that's an insult to Drake. I think Drake gave her the flow for No Fraud, but I think she wrote the verses, because I would hate to think that Drake's writing is that mediocre. Because
you
Nicki,
can't be. Why she inhaling? And then like, are you Birdman? Like, seriously,
I thought
even
Lil
Birdman
Wayne was beefing with Birdman. What the hell she on here about?
Birdman retired that shit long time ago.
This bitch out here like a bird for real, like an actual bird, like like I could not. And it is not even on that one. It's on like the other song. She got one called No Regret and something about changes. No regret.
Crying in your tears or something. Or regretting your tears.
Regretting your tears. No regret in your tears.
That was a shot to Meek Mill.
Anyway, that was a shot at Meek Mill. And then the one with her and Lil Wayne, I don't know what that was about. Like I said, I can't hear them because I'm Tidal. I refuse to get a Tidal subscription. I have a Spotify subscription. I only can pay one of these at the same time. And Spotify got more music.
Fact is, she messed up. And then she put it where not everybody can even listen to it. And then she got her little brothers, big brothers, started to come and back her.
You don't
and then
bring...
she still spoke complete and utter bullshit on it. So that's where we leave it. Like, Remy Ma has bodied her. She's dead. Like, give it up, Nicki. Like, go back to making music, man. Just stop trying to get caught up in big people's business, man.
Yeah.
Like, rap battles ain't for you, man.
No.
Have you ever seen a real rap battle? You would cry. Seriously,
No, but the thing is she used to do all of this, but we know that you're not doing this anymore. And don't try to rap like you bought that life or whatever the case is. You are better off not responding, in all honesty. Like, I feel bad as a Caribbean person because you're supposed to be rapping for Trinidad or whatever the case is. And nah, ain't no any Trini would have done come up out of them face and insult the shit out of Remember in the most appropriate manner.
Only Caribbean person on there is Rihanna, please.
Exactly. Exactly. You want to know how to clap back? Look at Riri. No.
Like, nobody hasn't won a Twitter battle with Rihanna.
Ever. And I'm pretty sure if anybody was trying to get in a rap battle with Rihanna, they wouldn't win either. I'm just saying.
And she is a singing.
And she's a singing.
Okay, can we move on to what's on our minds?
Yes. Okay, so
I think we said a lot of what's on our mind. We said so much stuff on our minds. What's on your mind, though?
I just want to say, like, I feel like nothing is adding up. Like, I honestly feel like a sense of, I'm looking at the news, I'm looking at everything that's going on, and it's just not adding up in my head. Like, something's missing. Like, there's a huge part of the story, like, completely missing. Like, there's stuff that nobody's saying. There's questions that aren't being asked. Like it really is.
Now, that's how you know that you're becoming even more awake and you're seeing the Matrix for exactly what it is. They're playing mind games with people, and people are taking sides. People are falling for the lies. People are regurgitating it, and they're talking everything. Matter of fact, they even said, Fox News even said that when they stop putting Donald Trump on, their viewer levels drop. So imagine that these guys are just saying anything to Donald Trump to keep their ratings high. Because literally, as soon as they stop talking about Donald Trump, people turn off their TVs.
You know what?
That's why the media can't stop talking about Donald Trump.
But
because
this
it's a
is
money
it.
thing.
No, but what I'm trying to say is like, I feel like the left and the right are both just coming together to try to make money off of people. Like, these news companies, the ones that are leaning to the left, and these news companies, the ones that are leaning to the right, from the newspapers to the political blogs to whatever it is, these marches, these organizations, charities, everybody just pulling you in this direction or that direction, but they're both profiting off of it.
Chaos
like they
theory,
are
like
making
people.
money off of this. They're making money off of your fears and your content and the contention that going on off of the conflict. So they're not even gonna try to propose ways to stop
or
this.
a solution.
Or
They don't.
solutions.
So look in every single industry, solutions don't make money. Doctors, they have like one little tiny course on nutrition.
Yeah.
And the rest of it is about medicine, right? So we know that solutions don't make money. So at the end of the day, pharmaceutical companies, they ain't trying to provide no solutions. Government not trying to provide no solutions.
No.
Yeah, because we know what the solutions are already. They just, and every time someone tries to implement them, they either ostracize them, kill them, or they hide them. Like, where's Russell Brand? Like, seriously.
Like, I'm looking at it. Okay,
It's
looking at
crazy.
a budget for the UK. Just looking at it again. They throwing money into social care and they throw money into the NHS, yeah? But what if you really wanted the burden on the NHS and the burden on social care to be reduced, what you would do is throw money into increasing the regulations and providing the type of environment that causes people not to get sick, because we all understand what makes people sick nowadays. It's what's in the air, it's what's in the food, it's what's in the water,
Exactly.
it's what's in your technology, it's all of that type of
Yeah.
thing. So if we know what makes people sick, we know what gives you cancer, we know this and we know that, but because people can make more money off of it being unhealthy than they can if it's healthy.
Like, why am I paying extra for a chicken that runs around? I don't understand.
Like, all chickens should be running around.
In the
like,
first
that's
place,
the
and I'm
idea.
like, how
like,
do chickens
that,
not running around? How do
the minute you take an animal that's supposed to build up, have y'all ever eaten free range yard chicken? Everybody know that yard chicken tough. Look at the chicken that you get in the store. The muscle on the poor chicken is like the thing never walk a day. Like,
remember that chicken that we had that freaked us out, that it was so soggy and slimy.
It was just soggy and slimy. Like, it has no consistency. The animals don't exercise. They don't get no workouts, nothing.
And you're
like,
telling me that it's costing you that much extra to allow a chicken to naturally do what it's supposed to do, or a cow to naturally do what it's supposed to do in the first place? Like,
because they don't want to go outside and be actual farmers. You
no,
can't
it's
be
not
an
even
actual
that.
industrial
It's because
farmer,
it's
can
cheaper.
you?
It's cheaper to just walk along a line and just put some chicken feed in it and just carry on, or
Because
just
if
feed
you have
the
100,000 cows in a warehouse, it's easier to have 100,000 cows stacked on top of each other in a warehouse than it is to have 100,000 cows and you gotta find land to rear them on every couple of months when they eat off all the grass and they need to move.
Capitalism is a bitch,
So,
man. I'm real talk.
but no,
because
but this is why
people just wanna like I said, people just literally wanna say, look, I got 100 million stacks in my bank, as opposed to say, guess what, I got 50 million stacks in my bank or whatever. But you know what, I provided jobs for so many people, and I look at the quality of life I have provided for my nation, as opposed to, you know what, I'm a rich person, and guess what, you're not rich because you're not working hard enough. No, I'm not rich because you're taking away every opportunity for me to ever get rich.
That's the thing.
To even be sane enough or even healthy enough
to be rich. Because all this talk about, oh, rich people don't sleep, there's a lot of things that rich people don't like. Okay, look at it this way.
They sleep very well.
They sleep very, very well, because when you're sleeping on $400 pillows, best believe, even if you get 4 hours of sleep, it's a better quality of sleep.
Some duck feathers,
duck goose feather,
goose feathers and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That what's that? that miracle bed that you can...
The I don't know, Tempur-Pedic, man. I don't know what fancy beds rich people sleep on.
No, man, that's that bed,
with the memory foam.
Memory foam mattresses, man.
Memory foam mattresses.
That contours to your body. Of course you're sleeping well.
And holds you in the hand of God while you sleep.
Like, your maid cleaning your room.
Yeah, your maid cleaning your house. Your chef cooking your food. The driver driving your car. Your assistant assisting you.
How are you not sleeping good?
Like,
shit.
No, like, in all honesty, of course you have time to be more productive than the ordinary man. Because obviously you have more help than the ordinary man. It's not always the case, because people who build themselves into being rich or whatever the case is, I understand when people coming from where you have. But once you get to a certain caliber of life, you have... once you bust that first million, you have everything around you, I would say, to be able to help you to make more.
Okay, I'm just being really ironic, because I know that these people are really unhappy, but some of them are very unhappy, and I'm only joking, but some of them are very unhappy because, like, my friend was telling me a story that in South Africa, this one rich lady was so sad because she couldn't go down to the beach, or she couldn't go down to the market or the clubs, but she would have to associate with normal people. So she's staying up in the hills, looking down at the public beach, like, oh, I wish I could be on the public beach, but I don't want to be amongst the mortals. So it's like, the things that they're unhappy about is what we would be so happy.
That's what it's called, first world problems, yeah?
Facts.
When you have these types of problems, like when you have problems with... As a matter of fact, just because you're rich, it shouldn't take away your humanity, and that's what we do to people. We automatically give rich people a status other than human. So, we do.
And they give themselves a status other than human because you want private everything. Why do you want private everything all of a sudden?
But we as human beings treat them like that. Like, okay, there's a difference between a rich person needing security because people might try to assassinate you for whatever reason or whatever the case is like that. There's a difference between you needing to isolate yourself from people because of that and other things like that. But other than you putting yourself on that pedestal, yeah? And it's us because we're consumers of people. So it's us that want to see pictures of them, make paparazzi running up and down taking pictures of them. It's us that consuming that.
Don't get confused with celebrities, though,
and rich people.
Because you're getting confused. You're talking about celebrities. There's
no, but that's why it made that division
that we don't even know. Because these guys who own the companies, the only time you see them is when there's a scandal or when there's a scandal. Like what happened with the banks. It says, oh, so that person owned that?
Yeah, okay, actual rich people, like people who control things and have power or whatever the case.
You hardly ever
hear about them, but they just believe they will have security, they will have this, they will have that, and that's because there are people out there who will know of them and know what they look like, and it's very easy for you to get kidnapped, ransomed, whatever the case is. Yeah. So
yeah, but if you're a rich person,
but there's nothing wrong with protecting yourself, but at the same time, isolating yourself from society intentionally because you feel like you're better than people and you've put yourself on a superhuman level, that's wrong. Money doesn't make you superhuman. It only shows that you have the ability to make money. That's it. Like, you have the ability to make money. That's it. It doesn't make you better than anybody else because somebody might be more loving than you. Somebody might be more caring than you. There are other attributes that make people and make up humanity.
And then, I can't even trust rich people. And this is not me being like a conspiracy theorist, but the fact that half of the rich people in the USA and America, they're rich because they got given money, they got given reparations for slavery.
Not America. Half of the rich people in the Western world. Half of the rich people in the Western world are rich because the people after slavery or whatever the case is, the people who owned slaves, they got reparations for it. They had to pay these people to free their slaves. And on top of that, places like France even tax a whole country. Like Haiti.
Made them go broke.
And they tax many of the African countries for their independence as well. So they had people paying back them for their own independence, saying that they lost this or they lost that, when it's not true, because the very same companies that was there pre-independence are still there post-independence and still performing in the same way.
What were you saying as well? I think you were saying that everybody in Parliament, that they all went to the exact same school and did the same course.
Everybody in Parliament, just about everybody in Parliament, I'm not saying every single one, but just about everybody in Parliament went through that Oxbridge system. They went through Eton, or they went to one of them private schools. they went through the Oxford system. They end up going to Oxford. They end up taking philosophy, politics, and ethics, and after that they end up going into government. It's like a training camp type of vibe. Like that's the way that you go.
Exactly.
Basically.
So that's what's on our mind. It's just that we see the Matrix. We understand that there are no sides because they're all in collusion, and they're really just playing us. So don't get caught up with Democrats. Don't get caught up with Republicans. Don't get caught up with all Labour. Don't get caught up with Tories.
What
Seriously,
you do though
don't.
is look for black businesses and help to support them. Like, I understand there's a certain stigma around supporting black businesses for some reason. There's always issues with service, or there's always issues with standard quality, whatever the case is. But I still say to people, look for black businesses and help to support them, especially in these trying times that come in for entrepreneurs. Look for people within your community and try your best to help support them.
It's not all the time you get great service in other businesses. Because I've walked into an Asian shop sometimes, and some people look like, why
like you're a pest, like why you're in here. And I'm sure a lot of black people know that feeling.
Shops,
no, not all. But a lot of black people know that feeling of walking into a store, walking into somebody's establishment and having them look at you as if, why are you in here?
I mean, I went for breakfast the other day with my 3 black friends in a Weatherspoons. And it was early in the morning, and this is like one of the posher ones. Mm-hmm. And it was all old white people. And they were literally just looking at us like, how do you guys know about this place? Like, this is our sanctuary. Like, why are you invading my space? Literally, I felt like, wow. So I was like, wow, yeah. So on that note, we'll move into our black business for the week is...
Our black business of the week is KGI Fruit and Veg Produce. This is run by a young man called Isaiah Blake in the Birmingham area. Look it up on the internet, on Facebook. I couldn't find a number or an actual page for them. But I heard about them through an article that was posted on Facebook. So this young guy, he delivers baskets with different Caribbean products. So he deliver basket with starfish, ackee, callaloo, breadfruit.
So for those grannies
plantain.
That I hate to see walking to town struggling with their little trolleys, you can now stay at home and he will actually deliver your market produce, Caribbean produce to you, which I think is quite a great idea.
For the baskets, that's at £10. You can customize it. You can ask for certain things and they'll put it in there or whatever.
And for lazy people like Riah, who loves market food but doesn't want to go there, I think it's a brilliant idea.
It's a brilliant idea for me because I hate going to the market. No, he just needs to start bringing like the fish and everything else, and then we be good in it.
And then you never have to go out in the cold in it. See, she's a true Caribbean expat.
As long as I live in this country, my goal is to try to stay as far away from outside as possible during the winter, which is every time here, because even in summer, for some reason, there's no winter in Birmingham. There's no summer in Birmingham. It's all winter. Even in summer, it's like 14 degrees max.
Yeah, you don't really get a summer. And on that note, we'll say really thanks for listening. We had a brilliant time.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. Really appreciate everybody who's been listening. Please like Angry Black People on Facebook. Subscribe to the podcast on SoundCloud. It's on iTunes. It's on Stitcher. And it's everywhere where podcasts can be found, really. Also, follow us on Twitter. That's at Angry Black People. Actually, no, it's not at Angry Black People. It's at Angry Black People with a 1. And then follow us on Instagram. That's at Angry Black People as well. Follow me personally at Riah B.
And it's at Riah and Dynamiks on everything.
Yeah. So yeah, guys, peace, love, and chicken greets. See you later. See you next week.
All right, bye.